Okay, cool. Let us just do a little bit of swapping around. There we are. That will do, that will do. Right, let us now find myself on social media, because that's always helpful. Excellent. Oh dear. For today. Excellent. Good. And then let's just see who comes on. And hi, Emirene. Welcome, my darling. Right, hopefully you can hear me, and I've switched off all my sounds so that we're not disturbing you with dual sounds and binging and banging and all the rest of it. It is, she says, cold in the UK, but less cold than it has been for a little while, which is a blessing. A blessing, a blessing, a blessing. So we'll just wait for a few more people to come on. It's ticking up nicely. Hi, Connie. Welcome, my darling. Welcome. So, hi, Sheila. Could you just confirm that you can see, that you can hear me okay, my darling? I know, and also welcome, Joan. Oh dear, oh dear. Right, well, that, you know, we'll not be using that spoon anywhere else. Right, let's swap. Good evening, Blanche. Let's remove that so that I don't have that binging and upsetting everyone. Hi, Barbara. Welcome, welcome. Oh dear, this might be a challenge this evening. I've got stuff every which way for a whole host of reasons, but there we are. Partly because I lost my crafting mobile. Thank you, Connie. Much appreciated. So, right. So, as we all know, Pentart make a whole collection of paints, paste, mediums, lots of different products. But Pentacolor, which is also part of the Pentart family, stock a range of products that you can use with their paints, paste, mediums. And recently, so just before Christmas, they added Jasmonite to their range. And Jasmonite, it comes as two parts, a liquid and this one in the bottle, and a powdery base. And it can be used in conjunction with other of the Pentart mediums to make lots of different things. It also has the advantage of being dyeable, paintable, relatively resistant to knocks and bumps, more resistant than concrete or some of the other powders, but it takes less time than resin or the clear resins to cure, and it gives you a almost stone-like feeling at the end of the make. So what do we need to know about using Jasmonite? I think it should be available in many countries in the world. Good morning, Rima. So I don't think that you from that point of view. So I certainly know it is easily available in the UK, and I suspect, therefore, it is in different countries. Now, Jasmonite actually produced several different versions of these products. So the one that Pentart has is AC100, which comes with its own matching base. So it makes life easy. And it says on the bottle, let me just swap these around so that you can actually have a bigger view. There we are. It says on the bottle, we need 2.5 times the amount of powder to the liquid. Okay, so we're going to start with, it's a compound that has to be poured into molds to work. So let me just centralize this on here. And I have some cute bunny molds that we're going to use, hence the title. And then we're going to do some bits and pieces to show you its versatility, and along the way whilst one bit is setting, because it should be set in the space of the life if I get my hat together and get it mixed reasonably quickly. So I have a little adorable bunny mould. This is the boy one. I do have a girl one that's already precast, and it has little boy shorts on it, just as an additional detail. So I happen to know from the company that supplied me, that made this, so this mould is approximately 40 ml. That's how much water it apparently takes. I've not measured it, but that's what it says it takes. Okay, so 40 ml mould, you times it by 2, means you need 80 ml, 80 grams rather, of powder. So you take the mLs of your mould, you double it, and that gives you in grams the amount of, oopsie daisy. Let's get rid of that and start again. So mould equals 37 ml. Powder, liquid. Okay, so the liquid equals 2 times mould, which equals 2 times 37 ml. And I'm going to round it up to make my life easy. So we're going to call it 80 grams. So that's how much liquid I need. Yeah? Hopefully that makes sense. So the powder is times powder equals liquid times 2.5. So 80 times 2.5. So we'll put a naught there and a naught there. 2 noughts are naught, 2 noughts are naught, 2 8s are 16. Yeah? 2 noughts are naught, 5 noughts are naught, 5 8s are 40. 2, yeah? Do that. So it's 200 grams of powder. Okay? So hopefully that's about right. And I have got a big bucket of the powder. So you just need to be aware, if you're casting bigger pieces, you will need a bigger pot than this, which I think is, well, it doesn't say how heavy it is on it, thankfully. It's 250 grams. So we'll see where we go. But that's technically how you're meant to measure them. I sort of guess and wing it, but there you are. But sometimes you're better off not guessing and winging it, aren't you? So I've just switched that on, but I'm going to switch that off. And let's just move that into there, onto there. Let's switch that off. And let me grab a pot. So I'm going to do that. And then we're going to let that zero on there. And I have some of the liquid already poured out that's had a good shake. And I'm going to put 80 grams of liquid into here. I didn't measure this out, I just guessed it and then knocked the pot over, so I sent some of it flying. So just as well I wasn't. But I do want to, I'm going to end up making a couple of batches up. So there we are. So let's get that up to 80 grams. Hopefully there's enough left in there from the fall, not having knocked it over. Not quite, and that's okay. So let's just pop, remove the safety cap from there, pick up I'm going to have the dropsies today. And let's just add some into here. There we are. So we've got 80 grams of the liquid in there. Okay. Now the thing with this is that once you start mixing it, it sets in about, you're meant to have about 20 minutes working time. My experience is that you don't have quite so much. It goes quite thick. Let me just turn that off because I've got a different pot here. Okay, so let's just pop that over. Ooh, she says, pop that over there. Re-zero this. So who else have we got? We got Juliana. Good evening. Yes, absolutely. No, 80 grams. $80 grams. It's about 100 mils, but yeah. But and 200 grams of powder. Thank you very much, Liz. Good evening, Elizabeth. Good evening, Jan. Hello, Anna. Thank you very much for sprinkling. So now we need to add some powder. But I also decided I'd spill everywhere because that's just the way it works. So I need 200 grams of powder. And then I can put these scales out of the way, securing the knowledge that I've mixed it. I've got the measurements right. There we are. So 200 grams of powder. I can see that that says 200 grams. You might not be able to. We'll just put that over there safely out of harm's way. So that is our measurements for our powders. And I'm just going to pop that off out of the way. You can grab it if I want to mix some more for in the meantime. And then you need to have your molds ready. Okay, because if you don't have your molds ready, when you're starting to mix, it becomes a bit of when you're pouring, it becomes a little bit of a headache. So let's just grab some extra. So I've got a nice rubber silicone Pentart mold. Yeah, we've all got some of those. I've got my little rabbit, and I also have a coaster mold, for want of a better thing. So we're just going to add some bits into this coaster mold just because it's going to help, and then I can pour stuff extra into one or the other, and that's fine. So these are just some metal flakes, and I'm just going to unfold these so we don't have a thick layer of them, and I'm just going to scatter them sort of randomly, sort of in a layer across. I am picking these up in their layers, and then we'll just squash them down into the mold. There we are. And let's just take a bit of that. So I've sort of formed a diagonal line, and you won't very often see me faffing around with a pair of forceps, but hey ho, having spent my working life with them, there we are. So let's just pop those into there. And then we just need to brush those down so that they are in place. Hello, Christina. So let me just pop those down so that they're flat onto the mold surface, because I don't want the mixture going underneath them. There we are. So they're now burnished down onto that clean and dry mold. If you try doing this with a wet mold, then the piece, when you unmold it, has a watermarking effect, and that's maybe not the best look that we're going for. So let's just pop that over. I don't want anything in this one. I will be colouring it, but I'll show you where we're going with that, and with some colouring as a second step. So now all I need to do is add A into B. Yeah, so let's just grab. So I'm going to dump all of that liquid into there. Now, if I was going to colour this, I could use any of the pigments, the dispersion pigments, or the pigment paste. And these all come in a range of primary colours and black, so that you can colour your jasmonite. And I would recommend that you add your colour in at this stage and mix it evenly into the liquid, so you can see that it's evenly mixed. Okay, we're going to do that a bit later, so let's just pop that over there. So we've got our liquid in there. I want white for this, and I'm deliberately choosing white for this this mix. Okay, so we're keeping it as simple as possible. Well, that's the plan. Okay, so I've got my liquid, and it's a bit if you try adding all of your liquid into a big pot of powder in one go, you'll end up with a claggy mess and lots of lumps. Not a pretty look. And then you have to beat them out. And if you try beating them out, then all that will happen is that you will get lots and lots of air bubbles. And air bubbles are fine, they're a look, and I think it's quite difficult to get rid of them, all of them completely, but you really don't want to be adding masses. And you can see just even by stirring that, I've immediately got a whole mountain of bubbles on the top of there. But we're going to add this in bit by bit, so I don't have to end up whisking it and adding more in. You can buy a mixer, the mixing blade, and put it onto a drill. But actually, if you're doing smallish quantities, it's, you know, for single makes or crafty makes, then actually I don't recommend, you really don't need it. You just need to stir your powder into your liquid and try and minimize the amount of lumps that you get. So you can sieve the powder as well. So if it's been sitting around for a long time and you think it's a bit lumpy, you know, a bit like flour that's been sitting in the cupboard, then sieve it in just the same way as if you were baking a cake. So the amount of powder is 2.5 times the amount of liquid, and I'm adding the powder bit by bit into the liquid, because that's going to help me make sure it, you know, minimize the amounts of lumps that I get, and also it means I can stir rather than beating, and therefore hopefully end up with less bubbles along the way. A few bubbles I'm not overly minded about, but if you want an absolute pristine finish, then you really want to minimize the bubbles that you have. And you will find, because as I do, that it will go thick as you start to mix more and more into it. And then suddenly the mix will loosen as the powder, I think, dissolves in the liquid. It's just the way it works. So just stir. You're stirring, not beating. You want to get rid of the bubbles and lots of the bits and pieces. I can see I've got bits, the bubble, you know, lumps in here, and I'm just going to squash them up against the side, because it's going to be easier than whisking it. There we are. And inevitably we will get some bubbles, but that's okay. There are ways of dealing with them. So we have 200 grams of powder to 80 mils of liquid. This is going to end up very claggy at this point. Hi Joan, hi Katerina, and that's fine. And then it will thin down. Now, try as I might, I've looked at lots and lots of YouTube videos, and they all look like it's very, very thin, what they're, you know, with in terms of what they're pouring. It is thinner now that I've got the temperature is warmer in the conservatory, but it's not at no stage have I got it to be really, really thin. And I think that is just the nature of the beast, because that's what lots of other people, you know, on, you know, if you look on the Jasmonite website, that's what they're saying happen. You know, they say the same sort of thing. So Let's just knock out some of these bubbles. Get rid of. I can see bits in here. So you do want to stir it until it's properly amalgamated. A little bit won't matter, but you don't want it to be completely full. There we are. That's not bad. So I'm just going to give that a jolly good tap, aka bash. And why am I doing that? Well, it's helping get rid of bubbles at this stage. She says, knocking stuff around, hitting a computer keyboard, never good. I don't know. There we are. Okay. Let me see what's going on. Okay. So, no, Jasmonite is not a Pentart product, but it is available from the Pentacolor website. So it's supplied by them, but it is mixable with the pigment pastes and the transparent dispersion pigments. And then you can use it with micas, micro beads, some glassworks beads that are also from Jasmonite, and the coloured foils. So you can get lots of different effects. And I've got a few to show. So that is got rid of most of those. So I'm just going to take my bunny and pray that my calculations were vaguely right. It's never quite guaranteed. But I've got a second mould completely free for bits and pieces. So let me just pop that over there. And then if you pour from a height, again, it will help bump out a lot of the, again, they recommend 10 inches, but there you are. It'll help knock out quite a lot of the bubbles. There we are. Hi, Sarah. You can see it's, it's reasonably pourable, isn't it? I can see I've got some bits in there. So, I would generally advise that you clear out most of that lot. And I'm going to have a bit more than I need, but that's fine because remember I added up. And it is easier, particularly if you're going to colour your product, to mix up more than you need, okay? Okay, so I have this on a nice wooden tray and I'm just going to hit it. Okay, so that will help Amy move it around, and B will help bring air bubbles up to the top so that they're not on the bottom of the wall of the mold. The next thing that you can do is take a needle and literally just run it around the edge of your mold, because that is going to help get rid of any bubbles that are trapped at the bottom. Might not get rid of all of them perfectly, but it will certainly make life much better for you. Okay, so I can see I've got a bubble there, so let's just pop and get rid of that. I'm going to wipe my little sewing needle because that's what that was. Pop that there, and I'm just going to give it another hit. Okay, so if we tap the sides, that's also going to help. And you can buy vibration plates. I know, sounds, but to help with this. There we are. So just tap it, tap it, tap it, tap it, tap it. See, there's more coming up. Okay. So let's just get rid of some of that and some of, get rid of the obvious holes in there. There's less of a problem on the top anyway. Okie dokie. And then I'm going to give it a spritz with rubbing alcohol because that might also help disperse some of those bubbles on the top of there. And I'm going to hit it again. Okay, so that can now sit there and dry. So I've clearly got more than I needed in here, and that's fine. So we're going to just add some splats over this randomly. Stick that into there. And you're going to, what on earth are you doing? But it will work. Okay, so just some random splats. Okay, put a bit down there. Some white splodges. Okay, that will be fine. So let me just hit that a bit, lift anything else out of there. Let's move my rabbit over there. And now I'm going to take my ordinary silicone mould, which we've all got masses of, and I'm just going to pour this into here. Yeah, you can see. Okay, and it's already beginning to thicken up. I can see that it is. So definitely, yeah, have everything ready to rumble before you you mix your powder and your liquid together. Will I use these? Yeah, of course I'll use them. They'll be coming to a life soon. So for those of you that don't want to use resin because you're worried about the toxicity of it, then this is more eco-friendly, doesn't involve nasty chemicals, doesn't require you to have gloves on. Yeah. Let's just shovel that into there. In any way, shape or form. I just don't want to waste this material. There we are. Good. And I can top that up with another batch at any stage. So I'm just going to pop that in there. And if you've got very detailed molds, one of the suggestions is that you almost paint the liquid or the paste into the bottoms of the product. There we are. Let's just get that into there. Wiggle it into all of the nooks and the crannies. Let's just pop that over there, because the extra pieces will come off. Okay, so there we are. I can pop that safely out of harm's way on the floor. And we're going to make up a smaller quantity for something different. And if I just move that out the way, I can pop that on the floor. And I can just drop this and it will even out. And this is the joy of a silicone mold. It's nice and robust. And there. Okay. So, and that can now go on the floor out of harm's way. Okay. So that's number one. Oh dear, oh dear. So that the rabbit just needs about 20 minutes to set. Yeah, I'm not using gloves because it is kind to hands. You don't need to. So for those people who don't want to wear gloves, can't wear gloves, don't get on with gloves. It's just an easy way of doing it. Okay. So let us let's scrape that out of there, and then we're going to re-zero it. And we're just going to make up a couple of colours, and I'm going to talk to you about colour mixing. Okay. Now then, I do have another one of them. Convenient to pour. So let us take that off. Give that a wipe. Get rid of the gunk on there. Pop that onto 0. Return that on and hope that it hasn't. Oh, there we are. So that is now in grams, and I'm just going to mix. I don't want to mix big quantities of this. Oh, there we are. Okay, so I'm going to mix 10 grams of liquid. I've got plenty of molds lurking around, so that's not a problem. There we are. Okay. Oh, good. 10 grams of liquid, because we're going to mix this as a small quantity. It's better than it was, Betty. It's not, it has been a balmy 10 days today, and now it's telling me it's got 9 grams in there. So let's just add a little bit more. There we are. Hopefully that will now stabilize at that, because why would it be helpful? Why would it be helpful? Oh, that's another set of molds. Excellent. Okay, so let's just swap that over there. And there is my powder pot, which is a different size. So I'm going to rebase that. So that was 10 grams. So I'm going to use 25 grams of powder. Which really is not a lot. You see, it's really not a lot. And it does pay to be reasonably accurate. There we are. Okie dokie. So let's just lead that with that and add that together. Hiya, Beverly. Good evening, Lottie. There we are. So let's just take that off there, put that down there on the floor, out of harm's way. It's telling me I need a new battery, so that might be the last bit of that we're going to do. Okay. And right, okie dokie. So we're going to add our colour into here. And I want a contrast colour to go with the blue, white, gold, and also another mix. Okay. So I am going to take some blue pigment. Okay, because I want a nice dark blue. So I'm just going to add a couple of drops of that blue into there. You can add up to 2% of liquid to this. So that's a good amount of liquid. Yeah, it's, you know, so from there, let's just mix this. And then I can see if I want it to be a darker blue. And I think I do want it darker than that. Yeah, it's a beautiful blue now. But I'm just going to add a little bit more black into there. So a pigment paste means that you need less liquid to add, but actually the dispersion pigments will also work, and you're not adding that much. Don't add micas into this bit, because you really would need a mountain of it. If you're wanting to add mica, then brush and mold with the mica. Yeah, and if you use interference micas brushed onto the molds and then pour on this coloured with black, you will get a beautiful effect. And that might be a project for another time. Okay, so I'm now, because I've only got a little bit to mix, I can now add in my powder into here. So you can get beautiful, beautiful dark colouring. I will end up with lots of bits left over. And I will show you what happens if you use different colours. There we are. Because I probably should have mixed up a couple of 100 mils of this, but hey ho, we haven't, so that's just life. Okay. So that, my friends, is how you add colour into your piece. Okay. And that means that you get a nice mix. And I'm just going to give that little tap, get the extra powder down and get rid of as many of those bubbles as possible. Okay. Remember I said have all your moulds. Okay. Let me see if I can show you, Rima. It's difficult, isn't it? You see how it drips? So it's definitely a liquid. And I will finish some of these pieces over the next couple of days so that you're not having to see me do masses of the same thing. Okay. But I don't want to waste that. So this is one where I have splodged, quite literally, orange made with yellow and red pigments and green made with blue and yellow pigments. Okay. And remember, you can do, and I could pour this, to be fair, onto onto just a piece of plastic, and I have got one, and just let it set, and that will make what are called terrazzo flakes. So that can go onto the floor. Yeah, I'm going to have lots of bits to finish up, but I'm going to show you some of those as finished pieces. Where is my piece of plastic? Oh, there is my piece of plastic. Okay. And there really isn't any waste. Okay. Which brings me to the next bit of the process. Okay. Do not pour the liquid unset down your drain pipes, because it'll continue to set. Okay. And we'll clog them up if you've put enough down it. And I do not require to be responsible for anyone having a big bill. Okay. So I've just literally swiped that onto a piece of paper, plastic, and it will peel off there when it's dry. And I'll be able to break out the pieces from there. Okay. Hi, Carol. Right. I've now got so many bits around the floor. Okay, so she says, let's just clear some of the deck, because we've got masses of bits here and a snotty nose, but not too much of a mess. See, I've got purple pigment on there. There we are. Okay. So I don't believe Bunny will be quite ready yet. No, he's needing a bit more time, because this isn't going to take masses of time. So how do we finish our pieces? It takes 20 to 30 minutes ish. We're in a conservatory. It may well take a bit longer. So here is my rabbit. So peel your mold away. If you try popping it out, particularly if you've got thin pieces, then you are likely to damage those thin pieces. Okay. So if you've got a mold that's got thin bridging pieces, then please do that. So there is my little bunny. There we are. You can see my female bunny. Okay. And it's clearly looking a bit tatty around the edges at the moment. And that is absolutely fine. Okay. Now, I don't know about you, but at Christmas, I saw lots of white decorations embellished with a little bit of gold. So this comes off here really quite easily, minimal effort. And I'm just going to give this a little stand. It's just literally sandpaper. Flattening off the edge. So if you've got a little lip, that will take that off there. That will get rid of any of the edges. Okay, from there. So you've now got a nice piece. Okay, nice smooth edges. Yeah, there are a few bubbles in it. It was one of the first pieces I poured. I'm not overly concerned, but I am going to just wipe up all of that powder. And at this point, you can leave it white. That would be clearly too boring to do. Or you can paint it, and you can paint it with your acrylics quite happily. Okay. You can paint it with almost anything you want. So I thought, I saw lots of Christmas decorations that were white and gold. So what have I got that I think will adhere to most surfaces and look like gold? So I have some of my pigment fix, because this will adhere to pretty much any surface. You won't need masses. Oh yeah. And remember, the pigment fix comes in a range of colours, and I could use, add mica in it. I'm just making a non-tarnishable mix of the gold here, okay? And I just want to add some of my metallic pigment into there. He's a very, very cute bunny, okay? And I think on a live, it's difficult. I can only show you so many different variations because they are literally endless. I have a nice small brush intentionally, and I have a bigger brush that I can just mix these powders up together. So I'm going to mix my metallic pigment into my pigment fix until I've got a nice smooth consistency. I'll have way too much here, but actually my boy bunny actually needs another layer adding to it. So just mix this up, get rid of all the lumps, have a beautiful, smooth, gorgeously gold, bright gold. Yeah, but there's antique gold, there's silver, there's rose gold, there's copper. Yeah, there's brass. There's lots of different colours of here. Okay, so I don't have any lumps in that now, so that's good. That can go in a pot of water, and then I can build up my colour. So just bear with whilst I don't sit on everything. Just add this, and then we're back to mould painting. What a surprise. So I'm just going to pick out the details on my bunny's dress with a small brush, because that's going to work nicely. Okay, and now my fan heater, which is by my feet, is now going to be very warm. Painting is very fun. Okay, so the dress has polka dots, so you could, I'm not going to do it here, and the boy's bunny's trousers have, but you could then add as much as you want. If you wanted pink bunny and a pale blue bunny, say because you're going to make these for a nursery, then put the colour into the Jasmonite before you pour it, and then you can have whatever colour of bunny you want. So you want gender neutral, go for yellow, and you can make it as bright or as pale as you want. If you want a little boy and a little girl, then go for one pink, one blue. If you want it pride, then I definitely think pride needs to be painted on afterwards. But this is definitely a gender neutral approach. So I'm just going to highlight all of that was my thoughts, Betty, was that they would be lovely. And my very lovely niece is my brother's eldest daughter, gave my brother the best Christmas present ever. I don't think anyone can beat this. She sent him a picture of an ultrasound scan announcing to her mum and dad that they were going to be grandparents. And I don't think you can beat that. Good evening, Vasilis. Welcome. I am using the Jasmonite because Pentart sent it to me to show how to use it. And we are making little bunnies. Oh, well, that wasn't intelligent, was it? Because I've now dropped it into there because I wasn't paying attention. So let's just cover it. Having dropped it into there, we'll just fill the holes because I'll never get it out. But you could be, the boy one hasn't got the holes. But there we are. We'll just fill these as it is. There we are. What happens when you're not paying attention, but hey ho, such is life, and it's no problem. So this is nicely sitting on the surface. So some of the powders, the ceramic powder, that's from the paints tend to drift into them and soften, whereas this absolutely is sitting on the surface. We'll come back to how you can protect them. There we are. Get that off there. There we are. And we'll just continue to not put my hands in it because this is going to need to dry, which is why the boy is done, because I want to show you how to protect them and have a talk about what you can use your pieces for. Okay, so that's no, it's not, because there's another piece of that skirt there. Okay, and then I'm just going to draw a rough line down there and down there as if the skirt is continuing down and around. That's a little bit of make-believe. Yeah, that's okay. You could just leave it plain, I guess, is the honest answer, but and just paint the front. See, do I want it on the side up there? Of course I don't. Yeah, we are. You can see that while it's wet, that surface is resisting, but once it's dry, it will be fine. There we are. Let's get rid of that yuck. And I've got another piece to finish that's flat. And these will need a second coat, I think, on the side because I've not got great pigment density in my gold. Okie dokie. And then let's just finish off the skirt quite nicely. And I'm hoping that at the end of here, the bunny that I cast might be dry enough to demold to show you actually this is a nice quick way of making stuff. And I've got some pieces for showing you different techniques so that you can see some different options. Okay, cool. So there is our little girl bunny. There's too much in there. There we are. We've covered that in. So really simple. So you could put rhinestones in there. You could put Nouveau drops in there. I'm just going to lift some of that out. There's lots of different options as to what you could fill these with. And I do have them, but not I'm not going to add them while it's wet. So lots of things I think you could fill these little wells with. But you might not have a mould with wells. When it comes to painting, the options are entirely yours, aren't they? That's the key to it. So you can see, just cover the bits that I think need a little bit of extra coverage on there and on that side. So this is the little bunny, the male, and this set of molds comes as a duo. Here we are. So let's just pop that over there. Remember that pigment fix, once it's dry, is permanent. So we have 2 little bunnies, and they will stand up. I'm clearly not going to stand it up at the moment because actually I'm going to paint that in because I think it's going to look better painted in than half finished. It's just going to work better. Okay, so they will stand, she says, but they would look lovely in 2 6-inch frames as a boy and a girl. You could put the girl or the boy in a frame with a background that says the child's name, their birthday, their weight, their height, their length, and their size. You could do it as twins by having 2 of them, boy, girl, have them stand alone. The options are endless, as are the colouring options. Okay, so let me just take those safely out of harm's way. She says, running out. I've got so much stuff now around me. Oh, that I really don't know what I'm doing. Well, I do know what I'm doing. I just need to move some of the stuff because I've also got some secret stuff around. Okay, so this is the bunny that we cast about 20 minutes ago. Okay, so remember I said you need to just peel the mold. Okay, so it releases really nicely, and you think I poured that maybe 40 minutes ago, maybe 20, no, maybe half an hour ago. So it's a relatively quick demold time for those pieces. Yeah, just to show that if you've got the Stamperia molds, I haven't yet tried it in a plastic mold. There we are. But I'm pushing my mold away and letting that push out. And then these can be painted, waxed, pre-coloured. This one I have broken because it's very thin. And that's my bad because of the way I picked it up. So I leave that in there. Okay. So what else can you do? But that, I think, shows just how easy. So we now need to think, how are we going to keep and protect our pieces? Okay. So remember, I just splattered a mold earlier on with some white. This one I splattered with red and the orange and the green. And I want to protect that. Now, I'm not going to make this suitable for using as a soap dish, okay? It's just not going to happen. I did have a makeup sponge. Let me go and grab another one because can I see it? No, I cannot. Okay, but that's okay. They're only over here. Let's just grab a little makeup sponge. And it's on the floor. There we are. Okay, but you can varnish these, okay, if you want to. That's perfectly possible. To varnish, but this is just transparent wax. So if you rub it in to the surface, it will help. And you might need to repeat it a little bit, but I'm just picking up some transparent wax. There are waxes that you can get for concrete, but you know, this is furniture wax. If it works on my my wood furniture to protect it, you know, beeswax does, doesn't it? Then actually you don't need to have a specialist wax per se. Any of these will do. Just let it sit, soak in, and wipe off any excess that you want. Okay, so that's easy. And I think you might well be able to see that I've had a colour change here. Okay, the colours have changed slightly. So if I bring one up that hasn't been coloured, waxed, there we are. And that's one that's not got wax on it. This one has got the wax on it. So it just intensifies it just a little bit. And that's important, particularly if you've sanded the back to do that. Okay, so splatter technique, quite happy. Lots of colours. Let each colour dry before you put the next one in. Okay. There are a Stamperia mould. Okay. So what is this one? So this is the Jasmonite in a square mould with the black paste. But what I did, and I've not got the square mould, so I'll show you on a different mould because I've got one. Okay, this is my mould up the correct way, and all I've done is taken a stamp, one of these, yeah, and then you put it flat onto your mould so it sticks. Okay, and that's not sticking because that mould is clearly dirty. Let's just add a little bit of liquid to help stick that, because you don't want it to lift when you're working. Okay, pop that into there. It will cling quite happily. Pour your Jasmonite over it, walk away, let it dry, and then fill in the gaps with some diluted paint or some of the Pentart antiquing gels. So let me put that out of the way. Okay, so really simple, really effective. You get some relief work in there, and you've got a nice finish overall. Let's just pop that into there. So we've got bunnies from soft molds. We've got houses from the Pentart molds, from those molds. We've got little houses. So let me just grab a little bit of wax to bring out the detail. These were cast in black. This is what I mean by you need to just have your products out, your molds ready. There we are. Just bringing that over. You couldn't get more simple. The hard work, you've done the painting for yourself, and then you've just added the detail back in. This is the little birdie, it's also in that mold. So if you don't want to be painting the way that I paint, then you've got lots of options there as to what to do. Okay, let me pop that there. They would be absolutely good like that, wouldn't they? And finally, this piece is even more complicated. So I remember I put some foils in the other day. I just put some foil flakes in to the piece. I scattered a little bit of coarse glitter in, and I think I possibly put some silver pigment in there. And I put, the other thing that I did put in there is some of these. So there is texture on that surface. So I put some of these bits in. They're called glass rocks. These are clear, and they come in lots of different colours. And they're a Jasmonite product, and they're recycled. And then I filled it with just the Jasmonite tinted with the pale, with a green to give me that very soft pale turquoise. So I think you can see that that little pot of powder and its liquid are little gems. They have got so many different uses, so many different styles, she says, throwing things around, and endless options for playing. And endless options for playing, as we all know, make me a very, very happy lady. So though they're complete, is what I wanted to show you this evening. The pieces that I cast with the splodges in, I will ultimately backfill with some more Jasmonite tomorrow. But here are our adorable bunnies, our little girl and our little boy, which I think make a lovely duo that will then quite happily work within a shadow box frame as a present for any new mum. So I hope that that has been informative and useful, and that you've enjoyed what we've done this evening. It's been a pleasure spending time with you. I will be back next week for Pentart on Tuesday. I'm not quite sure what I'm going to do, but you might just find that we might use some of those little house shapes that we've made, because it seems silly to have cast them and not use them. I will also, I think, be live on Sunday, providing on my own page, providing the weather improves. So I'm going to say good night for today. Please remember to look after each other, to be kind. Remember, none of us knows what sort of day and the other person is having. So if we can do nothing else, then being kind to each other is really an important part of our lives, I feel. So ta-ta, and I hope to see your crafty makes soon.